Hello and happy Tuesday. It's just past 7:15 p.m., which means it's time to go live for another broadcast of the Cole Memo. Folks, thank you for tuning in. It's our first officially announced Tuesday live. In case you missed it, I recently announced that every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. Central Time, we're going live on the Cole Memo. You can catch that out at colememo.com/live, or you can go to colememo.com/YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. In this broadcast, I'll be sharing some of the latest cannabis legislation that's been introduced, my latest report from Cannabis Coast to Coast News. And folks, because we're live, we'll be taking callers. So if you'd like to call into the show, please consider doing that. You don't even have to turn your video on. It's super easy to join. And we are live on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and other platforms. So feel free to drop your questions or thoughts in the comments. We may feature and address them on screen. Satisfied Mind 217 says, good evening, y'all. Smoking pots and pans is my favorite part of Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in. Folks, if you're watching right now and you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, and once again, if you're catching this show later and you're wondering how to catch the show live, I'd say the best way is to go on over to colememo.com/YouTube. I've also got colememo.com/live, which I will throw up on screen right now. Just a little bit of housekeeping, if you will. Let's check out colememo.com/live. So what's great about this is that you can go here. This is where you'll call into the show later, and you can actually see the link for the next live broadcast. And so let me make this full screen for you folks. You can see the link for this broadcast here at the top. You can see the call-in link, and then I will always be updating. I'll make this look maybe a little bit better here. I just kind of threw this together. I'll always have the next scheduled broadcast linked. If you click that, you can actually, when you sign in, there should be like a little notify me button or remind me button here. And that will allow you to see, well, to be reminded when that feed goes live. To support the show financially, head on over to colememo.com/support or become a patron at colememo.com/Patreon. Oh no. Are we lagging, folks? Oh no. This is we are live, so things like this might happen. I do apologize. It looked like we were lagging there for a second. So you can support the show at colememo.com/Patreon. That's colememo.com/Patreon. One of the best ways to support the show is just by liking or smashing that, hitting the like button, subscribing, or giving the show a favorable rating from wherever you're tuning in from. Once again, the Cole Memo goes live every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. Central, unless announced otherwise. I still may, of course, drop episodes here and there like we did earlier last week, but Tuesday nights at 7:15 p.m. is the time slot for
the Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
I mean, you have to respect the memo.
Okay, in case you missed it, just in case you missed it, I have been making appearances on Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Here is my most recent segment as it plays through. Please drop your comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about this week's story. Cole, thank you for tuning in. It's nice to see another Cole out there. All right, here is this week's segment for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. This week's Illinois Cannabis Report, I should say.
Our Illinois correspondent, Cole Preston, has more.
I'm Cole Preston with the Cole Memo with this week's Illinois Cannabis Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. This week, I'm reporting on an Illinois family that is fighting to retain access to a medical cannabis product that has kept their daughter seizure-free for the last 8 years.
I have 2 words for Ashley's situation. It works.
You might remember Ashley Surin. Her story helped inspire Ashley's Law, which allows students in Illinois to receive medical cannabis in school. Her mom, Maureen, told me the specific transdermal patch that Ashley relies on will no longer be available in the state of Illinois. Now, here's the rub. Those same patches are still sold in other states, but bringing them back to Illinois is still illegal under federal law.
Somebody who needs a medication in another state should not have to break a law to get it.
The Surins say they've heard from both elected officials at the state and federal level as they push for a legal pathway to keep Ashley's medication accessible. To hear my full conversation with Ashley's mom and to support their change.org campaign, visit colememo.com/Ashley. Now that'll do it for this week's Illinois Cannabis Report. Once again, I am Cole Preston from the Cole Memo, reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
It looks
All right, folks, we're just having a grand old time on this live stream. I hope you enjoyed that segment. I'm curious if you all have any thoughts. Also going to open up the lines for callers, colememo.com/live if you want to call in now. Definitely curious of your thoughts. Be sure to drop your thoughts below and I'll be sure to throw them on screen. Once again, colememo.com/Ashley to support the Surins. Once again, you can call in now, colememo.com/live. I actually need to update the link. So if you're trying to call in now and you're getting an error, that would be why. You can call. Wow. The lagginess of this stream. I'm wondering if people are seeing the same lagginess. Okay. You lagged a second earlier, but it's been fine since then. I'm wondering what is going on here. Thank you, K and MJ squared. Appreciate you all for tuning in. If you haven't hit that like button, yeah, fuck. I wonder what's going on here. I feel like it might be something related to my PC. It must be a memory issue. That's my initial hypothesis. I know that means nothing to you all, but that sucks. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I think it's when I'm doing something on my computer, so I think it's a memory issue. Need to try and troubleshoot that, but I appreciate you all tuning in, and I've covered this story in length, so it's possible that we may not have thoughts. So the phone lines are open if you do have thoughts, but I'm going to move on to our next story, which is about new cannabis-related legislation that has been filed in the Illinois General Assembly. Let's keep it moving. Okay. So, in case you missed it, wow, we are just having all sorts of issues, folks. Give me just a moment here. We will be, hey, it's live. This is new stuff. We'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that, folks. So let's restart that, shall we? The Illinois General Assembly is coming back for another legislative session. And just to acknowledge this right off the top, we are going to be going through some Illinois bills that have been filed that are cannabis related. And just in case you didn't know, just because a bill has been filed does not mean it's moving or that it's going to move. Most bills are first sent to, in the House, a Rules Committee, or in the Senate, an Assignments Committee. That's essentially a holding area where leadership decides whether a bill will move forward or stall. It's something we covered on colememo.com/minidoc. It's like sort of a little explanation of the legislative process that I give in that documentary. So if you'd like to learn more, that's a good place to check it out. colememo.com/minidoc. Basically, if a bill gets out of rules or assignments, it's then sent to a committee, usually like a subject matter related committee. If you guys will recall, when we've covered the odor-proof bill in the past, which was Senate Bill 42, if you just go to colememo.com and search up odor-proof, you'll be able to learn all about it if you're not sure what I'm talking about. A lot of times that legislation went through like a criminal justice committee. So you'll see like there are different committees, and oftentimes they're curtailed to the subject matter. So from there, from a committee, it must pass a vote in both chambers. So that's if it gets past a committee. So a committee will vote whether or not they're going to send it to the floor. And then once it gets to the floor, it must pass the chamber of that floor and the chamber of the corresponding. Or so if it passes the House floor, it must then pass the Senate floor before being sent to the governor to be signed into law. And I know that's a little bit of a civics recap, but just in case. And I also just am bringing this up because as we go through these bills, pay attention to where they are. A bills committee can reflect priorities, politics, timing, but it's not necessarily an indication of momentum. Many bills never advance out of committee or even formally discussed. They're just kind of submitted and they die. So to be clear, this is high level coverage. I'll be linking the full text of every bill we talk about. And I want to encourage you to read the language yourself because some of the most interesting and important details can often be tucked into the fine print. So take a gander, look through all the text. It's long, it can be boring, but it's important work. And let me know if I miss anything. So I think we'll start off with House Bill 4306, which actually was covered by Illinois News Joint. I want to pull that up, but I'm afraid to because of the issues that I've been experiencing with the PC this evening. But let's take a look. So here's the coverage from Illinois News Joint. It's about House Bill 4306, which introduces several different measures. And what stood out to me in House Bill 4306 is that it would classify cannabis purchased by a qualifying medical patient and their caregivers as medicine under Illinois tax law, beginning in 2026, which from my read on it and based on Illinois News Joint's coverage would mean that you could go presumably to any dispensary and with your medical card purchase at the medical cannabis tax rate. It also adds a new patient prioritization requirement for dispensaries. Now, I've seen a lot of people ask about this. Basically, beginning July 1st, 2026, but no later than October 1st, 2026, all dispensaries would be required to develop and implement a plan showing how they prioritize medical patients, provisional patients, and designated caregivers. The bill basically outlines examples of what that could look like, including dedicated service lines, dedicated times of day, or dedicated registers for medical patients and caregivers, while still requiring dispensaries to remain open during regular hours. So they give some flexibility as to how a dispensary could prioritize medical patients, but I had been getting questions about this, like, Cole, isn't this already a thing? No, it's a thing that, yeah, if you go to certain dispensaries that are medical, they'll give priority to medical patients. But that's, from what I understand, not a requirement in the law. It's just kind of something they've been doing to be nice. So that's why you've seen some dispensaries stop doing that. I know dispensaries that continue to do that to this day. I think it's good policy. From what I understand, House Bill 4306 is going to make it law. Again, beginning July 1st, but no later than October 1st of 2026. And now, again, I'm going to reiterate before I even go any further with this bill, it is a bill and it's not a law. It's been proposed. It could go nowhere. In the last 6 years, that's what cannabis legislation does. It goes nowhere for the most part. We've covered that on the website in the past, though. I do give credit where credit is due. There's been some good legislation passed since the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, which legalized cannabis, was signed into law, but not much. I see the comments are flowing in, folks. I'm going to read your comments after I'm done covering this specific bill. IllinoisNewsJoint.com pointed out in their coverage that House Bill 4306 also contains an amendment for dispensary drive-through for caregivers and patients, which I think was nice. And I think that's actually my last note on House Bill 4306, which I think I read as one of the most substantive cannabis bills that's been proposed so far. So the comments are in. Miggy 420's tuned in. How's it going? Miggy says, good to see he covers Illinois news. Hell yes. Good evening. How's it going? It is a requirement, but only at medical dispensaries. This will prioritize it at all dispensaries. I thought it was a requirement too, and then I was told that it wasn't, and that the people that continue to do it are just kind of being nice. But I could be wrong there. This bill was proposed by Representative Morgan. So that's House Bill 4306. And once again, I want to give credit to IllinoisNewsJoint.com for covering this bill. They've got some good coverage. I think they even have some notes that I didn't include. So definitely check that out. And just to move on to a bill that I thought would catch some people's attention, House Bill 4478 would make the Illinois Opioid Alternative Program permanent by dropping the pilot label and renaming the program to the Opioid Alternative Patient Program. So House Bill 4478 is currently in the House Rules Committee. That seems like a good change. Basically, they will take the Illinois Opioid Alternative Program, which is a program that offers people with an opioid prescription, as I understand it, the ability to switch to medical cannabis for it gives you like a temporary access to the cannabis card so that you can get yourself off of opioids. Kind of cool. So, like I said, it's been known as the Opioid Alternative Pilot Program, and House Bill 4478 proposes it being renamed to the Opioid Alternative Patient Program. Once again, read the fine text on all of these bills, folks. There may be stuff that's not included in my coverage, or, in the case of Illinois News Joint, which I'm pointing at on screen right now, there's a lot of text in these laws. So there could be things that neither of us covered. So I want to really, really encourage you to check out the show notes, which if you're watching live right now, I'll have posted after the fact. I'll also give a demo on how to find all this legislation, because I think it's not only important to share this information, but teach a person how to fish, right? So we'll do that here in a second. I'll show you kind of behind the keyboard how I find this legislation. House Bill 4501 was an interesting one for me. Basically, it's proposed, and from what I understand, it would add new child safety requirements to Illinois cannabis law. The bill basically focuses on preventing accidental ingestion by kids, requiring dispensaries to provide education about locked storage, post warning signs for edible products, include the Illinois Poison Center number on product warnings, and offer lockable, opaque storage containers for sale. That measure is currently sitting in the House Rules Committee. There's similar language in I'm guessing it's like a sister bill or brother bill, whatever you want to call it, Senate Bill 2866. Very similar language if you're wanting to look it up. And again, I'll show you how I look all this stuff up here in just a moment. The last program that stood out to me as being cannabis related, and there could be more. I should say there's actually two more proposals that caught my attention that are cannabis related. Could be more though, and there could be more to these proposals. I've been really emphasizing that as I go through this segment of the show. House Bill 4443 would establish an Illinois Future Fund and a cash assistance program providing $500 per month to qualifying residents in disproportionately impacted areas, funded by a phased reallocation of cannabis tax revenue. This measure was introduced by Representative LaShawn Ford, who's been on the show several times in the past and is currently in the House Rules Committee. The last piece of legislation that caught my attention, mostly because I thought it was saying something else, House Bill 4286. It apparently would change Yeah, folks, I'm really sorry about the technical issues. This is a new thing I'm dealing with here, and I'm not exactly sure what is going on. Oh, man. Sometimes you just gotta spark it up and fucking... What the fuck did I even say last? What's the last thing? Yeah, the ticker keeps on going. That's right. Well, cut out at change. Oh, okay. House Bill 4286 would change the makeup and leadership of the Cannabis Equity Commission by adding legislative co-chairs, new caucus members, and a media representative seat. I thought that one was interesting. It would require annual reporting to the Illinois General Assembly with data and policy recommendations on the cannabis market and social equity outcomes. That bill is also currently in the House Rules Committee. Man, what a bummer. This live stream, not that piece of proposal, piece of policy. Man, that sucks. Okay, well, folks, I'll take your calls. ColeMemo.com/live. Would love it if you guys called in. See you in a second. All right. Well, the show must go on. I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties tonight. I do appreciate your patience. We're taking callers now, ColeMemo.com/live. And I was going to show you how I find Illinois cannabis legislation. Like I say, I think that it's good to show people how to do what I do. So I personally use this tool called Legiscan. Let's get my logo out of the way here, and we'll show you how to do it. So I'm going to click search. You'll see that it selects the state of Illinois. I'm just going to put cannabis into the text here. And we have a caller. So after I wrap up this demo, I'm going to bring on a surprise caller. What you'll see here is all the cannabis bills. And what I usually do is I mess with the filtering here. So if you notice, I clicked it like 3 times there, and I make sure that it's filtering from the most recent action to kind of going back in time. And so you can see the different cannabis related bills that were introduced. It looks like there was one I may have missed that talks about including information on the use of locked storage bags. I don't know, maybe that was one that I covered. But you can see one about taxes, and here's that Illinois Future Fund piece of legislation that I pointed out that was introduced by Representative LaShawn Ford. And some of these are not related, but you can occasionally find mentions of cannabis in the provisions. But for example, here's the Cannabis Equity Commission one. And so, I just wanted to kind of share how I find different things in case that's helpful for you all as you do your own research. Thank you, Genetic Memory Farms. And at this point, I'm bringing on a surprise caller. Really excited for this. Mitty,
Hey.
How's it going, dude?
Good, buddy. What's up?
Not
You
much.
hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. You're coming good, man.
Cool. Hell,
So,
I wouldn't be surprised with the technical bumps we've had tonight.
I think you got Tom's
Okay.
Wi-Fi. He
Yeah,
has the
must
same
have.
shit sometimes. Are you using Wi-Fi or are you plugged in, man?
I'm plugged in. I really do believe it's a memory issue because it happens when I'm
What?
messing with things on my computer.
What up, Ken? Ken J squared. That sucks. I mean, like, I don't know. StreamYard has issues sometimes. And sometimes, hey, with these bills, man, they're all coming to propose for this year, right? Is that what's going
Yep.
on?
Yep. For this upcoming legislative session. So,
Well, they're good to watch, but we have here in Washington State another home grow bill coming through, but I think this is the third one. Fingers crossed. The other two died in committee. Like the process sucks, man. The
it really
legislative fucking bureaucracy, you know.
And for background, for folks that are listening, what you're saying is that you're in Washington, one of the first states to legalize it, and you guys still don't have home grow, right?
Yeah. It's a, that's one here in Washington State. A bill, an initiative can be submitted by the people. For you guys, it's through the legislator only,
Right.
which is fucking wild, just like Texas. But,
Yeah.
Which is surprising that you guys even got legalization, which means like it was important enough for, I guess for them to get their business shit together first. But, it proves that it's a fucking market. It's a good thing for society,
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
So somebody's asking how realistic these bills are going. Are you familiar with the legislator? Are you like?
I have not heard anything that indicates that there's really strong energy, or that it's kind of unclear to me right now. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important right there. Is like people like will submit bills or whatever, but what's the appetite, right? Like a lot of that's why we don't get shit done in even the regular capital,
Yeah.
right? And because they always want to like only push shit they know is going to go through, guaranteed, right?
Yeah. What I will give is like sort of a makeup of the land, if you will. So, folks, you'll remember that Representative Ford just announced that he's running for election sort of at a federal level and will no longer be in state politics. As I'm Bruce Wayne is mentioning, it's going to be election year. So, people that are willing to stick out their neck on any issue really is, remains to be seen. But typically in election years, it gets kind of quiet. I will say though that, on the other side of the fence, I've heard people, indicate that longtime champions of medical cannabis, like Representative Bob Morgan, who we just read has a proposal introduced, says he's got energy to sort of change things with the medical cannabis program. And I think that does line up with statements that he's made in the past, specifically with regard to medical patients being able to shop at any dispensary. He's said in the past that was a technical issue in the language of the law. And so this proposal seems to be his way, at least based on my read and the coverage at IllinoisNewsJoint.com, seems to be his way of addressing that issue. So
I would love to be able to sell medical weed at medical prices, because we're going to be an adult use store. So from my understanding, that's all we're only entitled to be because of Illinois law. Here in Washington State, they really killed the medical market because it was a free-for-all, pure capitalist. The stuff that all you guys get excited about and think that hemp is, that's what Washington State was, man. We had farmers markets. We had infused toothpicks, like just the dumbest shit. But, everybody was an entrepreneur. That's kind of how it is no matter what, right? Like everybody who wants to get in the hustle, whatever it is, this thing called weed. But like, as far as I know, we're only going to be able to sell adult use. I just think that's horrible because, patients need a place to go. And I mean, I don't agree with you guys, the prices out there, but kind of what the market is, it sucks, but
yeah,
there's people with that appetite. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean, the real thing that's crazy about it is you guys will be selling the same products. So that's what sometimes people question. They're like, is there a different like supply chain? And from what I understand, no. And like the best way it's been explained to me is I've had people on the show in the past that do have a license that allows them to sell both medical and adult use. And they told me that, first of all, they were like, Cole, this situation should never happen. But if it if I went there and saw something on the adult use menu that wasn't on the medical menu, they told me that I could let the bud tender know, and they would literally switch it over to medical, which like sort of further reinforces that there's literally no difference. Again, they said that situation should never happen, but it really illustrated the point that like you know, as a medical patient, I could literally see something on the adult use side and be like, no, I want that, and they'll bring it over.
Genetic is saying that you can sell to medical patients. I can at least, and you just need to give them a discount to make up for the taxes because the state will expect that to you. But why is there? So, I get that like there's going to be an extra markup of taxes. And again, you guys did it totally different than we did here in Washington, where we didn't have a regulated medical market. The regulation here at the time for that medical was the prescription alone, right? Like if you had this prescription, you were allowed to join a community or be in possession, because medical is only an affirmative defense. It's not even real legalization. But like here, it was pretty much like a grow a plant. You had 10 pounds, you sold 10 pounds. My question for you, because you guys did it way different, not just with the taxes, but there's the registration for, portion of it. Oh shit, I think Cole just dropped out. Oh fuck. Oh wait, never mind. Okay, because I can't see you. I can't see you at the bottom. So I was like, oh no, with your connection. I was like, oh no, that'll just lose you. But like, back with my question, because like Genetic, he's somebody that's been in the industry, right? And so he's saying about the taxes, but that's just another markup, right? Because medical has their own taxes too, because nobody's really doing this shit to be for free, right? Even the hemp people are marking stuff up and flipping things, right? That's just how business works, which sucks because there used to be this premise because marijuana is medicine, but like that was one of the beasts back in California when it was medical first. Was like, oh, look at these people making money off of patients and there's other stuff, right? Which is, some people can't grow. Some people are just sickly ill and they should be allowed to grow or have someone grow for them. That's always been like the medical premise of things, kind of like a caregiver type thing. But like you guys did it where it was like a whole market in itself already, the medical side, like the structure of it, right? Because it's still a big MSO that was part of you guys for the medical stuff. For us, it was a guy with the trunk of his car. That was medical. Yeah. We get weed off of Craigslist. They deliver it to you in your hotel or whatever. It was that. You just had to show them the script, because I used to be a traveling tech. So I used to push the boundaries when it came to like acquiring cannabis throughout the state. That was the legality of it. But you guys had this full on, isn't it like you can only buy though? You were like in the beginning, you were set to one store, right? Which is the dumbest fucking thing.
Yeah, you had to register. So and it was like a paper process at the beginning, and then it became digital, but it took an hour, and then it just made it so that if you go to one of the 55 locations, then they can, you can shop at any of the 55 locations. But yeah, back to your question from Genetic Memory Farms. I mean, you're right, Genetic, that they could sell to medical patients, but to your point, they would have to give them a discount to make up for the taxes, which would mean they would be losing money.
Well, I think that
you get what I'm saying, though, Miggy. Like you would be losing money.
Well, that's my thinking though. Is my question is because medical, when you guys existed, they were still profiting, right? Again, no one would be doing this shit free. Got to keep the lights on. But like, I don't mind making, because there's that 1%, he said, medical tax, and then there's versus the 30%. So if in our books we sell this thing, because it's all going to get marked up accordingly, right? Like, say if I buy, just pretend $100 for an ounce, and so the patient 1% markup, it's going to be $110 plus whatever markup that we put in for profit to keep the lights on, right? So now, what's the normal markup for a store, you think, for product?
Like double.
So like 20%?
No, like 100.
Like just like 100% per ounce?
Well, it's probably changed a bit. The prices have lowered, but
because that's a crazy markup if they're doing 100%. Like it's not diamonds, This is like fruit.
Just typically, I know that the market has changed a bit, and that's so Genetic Memory Farms responded and saying they don't lose money, they just make less. But that's
Yeah.
kind of it, is that the price floor. Bruce, who I know is in the
No, 100%
username
price
on
floor.
Bruce Wayne is in the
Crazy.
in the industry. And
What a window to because I mean that's set pricing. That's crazy, dude. Because
But-
we're buying. Go ahead.
but back to that point we were just saying, like, I get what Genetic Memory Farms is saying, they don't lose money, they just make less. But if everybody is selling at Berwyn, thank you, I was looking at your username, I forgot, it's Berwyn from I Got the Munchies. But anyways, Genetic Memory Farms, like, so Miggy, just to make sure we're on the same page, it'd be like,
Yeah.
if you sell a price that has a floor of $50, but you're wanting to sell it at a med patient so that they get it at $50, you'd probably have to sell that at, like, I'm gonna do bad math here, but like 40, 35 or so. Like, you'd sell it down so that the 30% would still, I don't know. I could even be wrong.
You just wouldn't mark 30%. That's what I'm saying. It would get marked up to that 1%, and accordingly, what I'm saying, you're still going to make a profit as a store, right? And Genetics have totally right. You're making less, but like, hey, Satisfy, I got a question about that picture, that thumbnail. There's an artist in Reddit that I like to watch. They post a lot of cool paintings, and it's that cat, I think. Is that you? That's awesome. But like, anyways, dude. But yeah, but it's not about, like, if we were to only supply all the patients, and if I had consistent people buying at patient prices at that low 1% markup, or the added tax to cover, plus our regular store markup, then I'd be fine, dude. We don't have to, like, be a trillionaire. You want to be a store. That's all you're going to be. I just want consistent people showing up. I want to be your 7-Eleven. I don't want to be like something exclusive. I want people who, because I know there's a lot of growers in that area too. When I kind of like did like a vibe for the area, hey, holy shit, that's the artist. Yeah, no, they know who I'm talking about though. That's a pretty dope little. She always paints like stoner cats and shit, and like tiny little stoner innuendos and like these big ass paintings. But 100% though. But see, that 100% was still getting marked up in the medical times too. You know what I mean?
Right. Correct. That's correct.
So it's that 100% plus the either 1% that's going to be the tax of the state, or 30%, medical versus adult use. So that's the extra markup. It's just business in general, right? All these costs are not being eaten by the store. They're being eaten by the, when you go to the store and buy beer, you're not asking like, how many hands the transaction for got to you. You just, all right, here's my $12 or whatever it costs. I think that's what I'm trying to get to, is like, in the end, you really don't care. And as me as a store, is if people are coming through, there's traffic, there's business, I'm not going to mark it up so high that, like, I don't care if it's 30% more, but I'd rather be tailored to patients because they're consistent with their purchases and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, not trying to chase the greed thing here, but consistency and consumers. That's who. There's that gray area right now, cannabis, that everybody knows we have patients, and you guys have just done it so weird with that, the way you divided your. But again, we're killing our patients too. We have our cannabis two different ways labeled. We have medical cannabis, grade medical, and they're both tested at two different ways, which is the dumbest shit, right? None of these states are getting it right when it comes to, at least, it's Tom's likes to say, they're not the stoner that you are, right? Like, we just think that, fuck.
Yeah, that is a point that resonates with me, that he says that's like, not everybody is like as much of, as is on the same page as we are,
Yeah. Genetics got it right. It's like with tariffs, right? Like, my whole point being is, as a store, you're kind of neutral. You're just a place where people are going to walk in and get their products, and we're just trying to meet all the rules that will keep the lights on, pay everybody's bills, and the only money I'm really going to see out of this whole thing is when we do sell, right? Because we need to make this thing alive first. It's either store going to fail or not, right? Failure's not an option right now. Are there any markets that have different regulations for medical versus rec?
Yeah, I mean, an example I can think of is I remember when I went to Colorado, you could only get 100 milligram edibles, but then on the med side, you could get like 200 milligram edibles. And I think in Missouri, no, never mind. What I was about to say with Missouri is a little bit different. I would also say Michigan has some differences. But what about you, Miggy? Do you know of any examples?
Like in my state alone is the only thing I can think of because their testing requirements is different for the plant itself, which is dumb. For adult use, they're only testing for I think pesticides and some metals. For medical use, they're doing the whole gamut. And I'm not a scientist, you know what I mean? Like, because there's people out there checking your food products for like E. coli and all the other shit. So I couldn't tell you what the other full gamut is for medical because there are people sensitive to like metals in this plant, which throws me off, man, to think that you can test for like metal in a fucking plant that I smoke. You know what I mean?
Well,
But
I mean, cannabis is a really good soil remediator, so it will pull
yeah,
heavy metals out of the soil. And then if you smoke that shit, that ain't good. K and MJ
100%.
squared said exactly what I was trying to say. I think I'm not good at math, but they would have to sell instead of marking it up to 100% like everybody else does. You'd have to mark it up only 79% to make that 30% tax equal to what it would be at 1%. That's
see
what I
what
was
she's saying.
trying to say. Yeah, it's hard to
But
lay it out.
But see, I don't think what you guys are thinking about is that 100% markup that Bergen was talking about, or Bruce Wayne. Because, like, say you buy it for $100, automatically it's going to go to $200, and then you put on the 30% or 1% tax, because you're covering your costs right away, right? The 100% markup is the profit, and then you're going to be covering up. So the thing is, there should be a way at the point of sale when you make that purchase that, like, in my inventory, like I can say, okay, these were sold for patients. This is what I expect. And because I don't know what to do with the IFPDRs yet. You know what I mean? Like as far as how they look at your
IDFPR.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Though I had to like
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
like brain fart my shit. But
It's
like
okay.
that's the thing. Every fucking state has different priorities when they govern this plant, or what they're governing business is what they're doing, right? They don't care about the plant. They want to know about the taxes and all, your revenue, whatever. I'm just reading your chat now. Wish they were still checking. Hell yeah, I wish too. Washington, what is the usual markup if they want producers to take a hit? That's what I'm saying, dude. Like every state's doing it different. So like the growers took a big hit here. I think it's like a 26% mark tax when they sell it to the stores. It also here we don't have vertical. Everything's horizontal here. You can only be a grower or a store owner, and I think growers can also be processors. Make concentrates and whatnot. But like, so that's really you got lines in that tax rate. But I don't know that's why I was asking, because that's something I'll be seeing, and there's some people I can ask, because we do have like a cannabis business association out here. Something I haven't seen in Illinois as well. There's not an alliance or some sort, right? Because you guys are kind of still divided by medical versus adult use, right? There's no like business interest.
There's a few different associations. There's Cannabis Illinois, which is you can see their logo right there. They represent some of the largest companies in the state historically, and I believe there's new members coming on. Then there's the ACE or something that I believe I saw you were on, if I'm not mistaken. Then there's like the Illinois Independent Craft Growers Association. Then there's the Illinois Independent Transporters Association or something like that. Ted has been on the show in the past. If folks want to go on the ColeMemo.com and look up Ted Parks. Scott Redman has been on the show in the past. He's with the Illinois Craft Growers. But there's to put it up lightly and stop rambling. Yes, there's a few different business associations. I'm sure Berwin could name another one.
Are any of them actively like kind of like trying to petition for rules and change? Right, like we have this one Cannabis Alliance here that's been doing that pretty well. Even though like the fact that they champion for homegrown kind of like always surprised me too, because like they understand it's not it's for the consumer, right? Like if the stores can sell seeds and clones, that helps the stores too. You know what I mean? Like it's a win-win.
It could also be like talent acquisition. Like some of the best
Oh yeah.
beers that are real popular came from like the craft brewing scene, you know?
Oh no, 100%. And yeah, he's talking about the so sick of taxes, get overcharged. I 100% get you, man. Like, but that's the other thing too. Is like I've always been curious how this like business side works. You know, because you know you're talking big boy talk with all the fees and like I get it, genetic. This is disgusting. When you see like it's like point of sale systems. Who would have thought like or even seed cell tracking like metric was going to be a big player in like a conversation of what the cannabis industry is you know the legal side of things. You know it's kind of gross to see that kind of thing, but also it's going to be needed. You know, for me, I'm not a big fan of seed to sell at all. I think it's seed to fill, because why do we track the barley when it comes to the beer and all the other shit we do? You know, they don't. But like you do need tracking for your inventory. Like that's going to be a thing, you know, or you can't like juke the taxes. It's all about the money, you know. We all know this. So there needs to be a bottom line eventually. Like, why is it? I mean, you're a drinker too, like I am, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I have a drink every once in a while.
you ever like make your own beer?
I have not done that.
That's because
That'd be cool though.
Takes time and shit though, right? Like
I have a friend that did it. I thought he was growing weed because he was like growing the fucking hops or the barley.
holy
or whatever
shit.
the hell. Yeah,
That's
he had a tent.
seriously from scratch. Holy crap.
Yeah, like he did it all himself. It was
Oh
pretty
my
fucking
God.
nuts.
Jesus
Um,
Christ. No, I can't even
and-
do that.
Yeah, he made me a mead once. It was probably the best alcoholic beverage I've ever had because I was drinking it. It was tasting just like this water, and
Okay.
it apparently was like 35% alcohol or something like that. It was like I said, it was going down from like water from the beginning. I think it's because it's got like honey in it or something. But
Sure. He wasn't putting big beer out of trouble or business. You know what I mean? Like that's
right.
everybody's fear about like we're going to go rampant with this thing, but only people who care enough to do something like that or have time or energy. You know, I've grown like twice successfully, like twice. You know, other than that, it's been really good attempts. I learned a lot, but
Yeah. I've actually had some decent luck. I haven't grown in a while, but I had some troubles towards the end, and I'm convinced it was because I was doing too much. I like installed like a AC
Ooh.
unit just for my fucking grow. It's like I wasn't even really having temperature issues, but I was just like, I'm gonna drop the temps. I'm gonna keep everything low. And I'm pretty fucking positive that I stressed the plants out because like looking back on my journals, it's like that's exactly when the issues started. And sometimes it's as simple as like, what did you change? And I got frustrated and stopped, but I plan to get back at it. I've got some seeds that I plan to pop, and
nice.
got to exercise my right. You know, a right unused is a right, whatever the saying is. I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying you would do it anyways, but when you have time, like I've drowned sprouts. I learned you could do that. I didn't know you could drown.
Oh yeah, you can definitely do that.
But just like you're very eager. I was like, oh fuck, I got these little sprouts. They're probably like an inch grow long, and I'm gonna make sure they don't dry and get thirsty ever. But yeah, you know, you learn, but not everybody's gonna do that. You know, it's just like not everybody's making their beer, and,
Right.
and we just gotta get to the point where people don't give a fuck about this plant. I'm telling you, missed a good time out here at Seattle Hemp Fest. There'd be like 300,000 people just smoking all the weed up along the harbor, and cops walking past you. No one gave a fuck. It was an interesting time. You gotta ask Tom about it, man.
Hell yeah, that sounds crazy. That sounds
Where's-
crazy. Yeah, I just really want a culture where everybody overgrows and we're just like giving weed to each other, and it's just like whatever. It's like tomatoes. Like I know this is an idealistic world. Because back to Tom's point, not everybody is as much of a stoner as we are, but
I think medical people though, there's that community if you can find it. You know, there's truly sick people who know how to grow, and there's people who truly want to help them. You know, like they're out there. I don't know about in your area, but Washington has it still. Do you have a community of patients out there?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's actually, I think it's called like the Cannabis community on. I know there's one on like Facebook or something like that. I know there's different communities. I wish it was a larger and more vibrant. Maybe there is a very large and vibrant community that I'm just not a part of. I should give a shout out though to like creators like Aaron and Dave. They've got a really good community going and a good culture where like it's a bunch, like you'll go to their streams. I think I've seen you over there, Miggy, sometimes. You can also find them by searching up Support Dope People.
Oh yeah.
Just like all the people that tune in, like they're home growers. I see people saying overgrow and stuff like that all the time. So I feel like that's as close to what I've seen to like a public facing community. But I should remind myself that a lot of the home growers kind of come from a different culture where it's like they're kind of quiet and always have been quiet.
Oh,
so
yeah.
maybe I'm just not, hooked in with the right people.
What about events? Do you guys do events?
There's been some. That's an interesting like thing. I try to actually. What's interesting is I just stopped even talking about events. Like I'll talk to you about it now, but what's interesting is I stopped talking about events because anytime I would bring anybody on about any event, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. You get messages like, "Oh, this person stole my idea on this event," and blah blah blah, and like in the past, and it's like, and I don't know anybody, so I'm just like, you know what? Anytime I have anybody on that's talking about events, that shit happens, and so I'm just like.
But see, I think those are important. That's where the culture's at, man. That's where you're gonna find those locals. It's like genetics, like always down that other people don't want to grow as much as they do, which I get it, but I think too though, places like the events is where you meet people with the curious minds, and locally at least, right? Our events are lame because you can't smoke. That sucks. Well, see, that's not an event then. But see, the events I'm talking about though are people who take the risk. Like first off, you find someone who lets you rent a space to bring in hundreds of strangers and just smoke weed. It shouldn't be an issue. Like if you were to do that for like alcohol, most people don't like, like, okay, you got a license for that. Because they do, right? You guys have like permits for like an alcohol event, whatever. But for like weed, people kind of get hesitant. So so you guys don't have events like that with smoking events then?
Yeah.
At least that you know of.
I mean, there's some for sure. I've been to a few. My mini doc was one.
Right. Well, we got one coming up here called the Terp Wars, and we have what's called the Fun Police. Our legislator, the Washington State Liquor Control Board, Cannabis Board, and if these people take your license away in a heartbeat for like you can't smoke on premises, all that shit like that. So I don't know how they're going to view once they get rid of some, because at these events they're mixing underground as well as regular growers. I'm looking at Satisfied. I just saw the what's that?
Yeah, I'm taking a look. So our friend Satisfied Mind dropped this article, and I'm just displaying it on screen right now.
Damn.
State launches investigation. Oh wow, this was today. This is like breaking news.
That's
And
Missouri.
it's 7:15 when this freaking show started. Oh, it is in Missouri. Thank you.
Still, I mean, it's just a bummer. We still got to get through this sort of stigma type shit. Proper brands and cultivators and products. Shit. Hey, it's been a pleasure though, but I got to bounce for a second, and I'm gonna be playing video games here later. But I just want to jump in. I know we're crashing. Your signal's coming in good now.
Yeah, I swear. I think it's because I stopped doing stuff on the computer. I think that's what it is. But I appreciate you jumping on, man. It was really nice to have somebody to bounce some ideas off of, and
no, it's fun.
I always love when you join. So please join again in the future.
No, I appreciate it, man, and then everybody else.
Yep. Cool. That was cool. All right. Yeah, there are some smoking events. Yeah, and I guess my mind was blanking. I've been to some, like I said, my mini doc. You could smoke outside, you couldn't smoke inside, but there's places like Molly's Joint. I did a podcast from there. If you look up Molly's Joint on YouTube or something, probably on my website. I'm not sure. And that's a public place. There's a restaurant. There's it's crazy. You can get food, you can smoke weed, you can get an alcoholic beverage, you can gamble. There's some gaming machines. There's a concert venue. I dressed up as Cowboy Cole one time, and we had a hoedown. No, I'm joking. I can't remember what it was. It was like a country music festival or something. I don't know. It was pretty cool. But we were smoking weed there, and that was open to the public. There was like a weed competition once. Yeah, Cole Cram makes a good point. We have hemp licenses, or hemp events, I mean to say. That's what I've heard a lot of people say events kind of function under. It's like hemp. We took the risk, but the license people are scared to lose their license. What are we talking about here? Berwin, you should call in if you're able to. I'm going to wrap up soon. We are nearing an hour on the stream. I want to apologize again for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream. I got to figure out what the fuck is going on. Might just do a like a live stream in the future where I'm testing it. Once again, you can find the link for the next live stream now at colememo.com/live. If you go there now and hit that remind me button, you can be reminded when we go live. I'm going live every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. now, unless announced otherwise. I like to give myself a little bit of space there, unless announced otherwise. Erwin, how's it going?
Oh shit!
How's it going, dude?
Oh, I'm on. Okay, I'm live. What up, Cole?
How's it going, man?
How you doing? I'm charging the car with my blanket, listening to you.
Nice.
So
Well, introduce.
far.
Thank you for tuning in, and introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them about your brand and where they can find you and stuff.
Okay. My name is Berwin Tompkins. I am one of the owners of I Got the Munchies. We are one of the only people to have infused lollipops in the state of Illinois. We have 12 SKUs, aka flavors. And you can find us in 48 dispensaries currently in Illinois.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for calling in. And what's on your mind tonight as you tune in? Anything you wanted to specifically talk about?
I saw a couple things on here. I know we were talking. Well, you all were talking about the taxes and the medical, and I guess the differentiation with that. And then as far as the cannabis events, not they're okay, but because of the limitations with the clean air bill, kind of makes our events kind of like lame essentially. So it's kind of hard to get spaces and spaces that are cool to have events at. I know you did name Molly's joint. I've been down there as well. That's a good event space. Good event space that does allow consumption. And then I know in the south suburbs of Chicagoland area, one of the ones I frequent a lot is Stash. They have a pretty big area where you're able to consume.
I wrote down medical at all dispensaries. I was just going to ask you, maybe that kind of goes into this question. What's your take on cannabis policy over the years? Because you did mention you guys were able to get one of the only pieces of policy passed, but just your thoughts generally speaking on the policy that has been passed and lack thereof.
We'll do the lack first because a lot didn't pass. There's a lot of different things that could help, but a lot of our things were stalled over the years as far as getting any policy passed. I didn't see anything in the current that they're doing currently that will really affect us other than the medical aspect. I do think that all of the dispensaries should be allowed to sell to medical patients. I don't kind of truly understand why they're only allowing the MSOs essentially to sell to cannabis patients and only allow them access to those patients. Um, I don't understand like the legit reason why they're doing it. I think that patients should be able, if it's a place up the street, they should be able to go up the street. They shouldn't have to travel any further than they need to, in my opinion.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on just like, either the legislation you got passed or anything else that would just really help you all out as transporters? Like I've heard, not to spin it in a certain direction, but I've heard like a policy that might help you out is like the concept of distribution centers or something like that.
So they did talk about I can't remember the exact name. It's not distribution, but like a hub or something of that
Sure.
nature.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't really see where the hub will help. Initially, what was supposed to happen was the transportation was supposed to be turned over to third-party transporters as the first option for transportation. But obviously with COVID, and then the delay with them issuing licenses, the only people that were able to capitalize on were the MSOs. So they were able to build and perfect their logistics and transportation. So it's like much more difficult for them to hand it off when they have all the experience and they have money spent into the model. So a lot of third party transporters essentially don't even work. We got 163, I believe it's 163 or 162 transporter licenses that were issued, but they gave those same licenses to the grows. So essentially I would assume that they were thinking enough of the craft grows and infusers would be up to support the licenses, but it's not. It may be, I'm being nice, 20 maybe craft grows or something of that nature. So it's like what business, if you're looking at the canopy spaces, and that's what everybody should be mathematically looking at when they calculating things, what's the canopy space and what they're already doing with the canopy space. So if an MSO has the 200 and I think it's 225 or 250 square feet of grow,
210.
and
Yeah.
okay, 210.
210,000. Yeah.
Okay. So they already have the logistics there to move that amount of cannabis already, right? Where does the third party fit in when you're talking about another, let's say, additional 100 licenses? Like, where does it leave those people and what was the protection for it? So I don't know if they really sat back and fully thought about like how they were doing it, but the first line of the cannabis industry is a transporter. If the transporters can't get it there, nothing's happening. So the third party transporter hasn't been able to be successful unless uh, we were lucky to like create product and actually transport our own product and kind of then navigate and start picking up clients. But if you don't have a product or you're not attached to a dispensary, I mean, not a dispensary, I'm sorry, to a grow or an infuser or a testing lab, then it's like, where does your work even come from?
Right.
And that's the biggest issue is like the amount of money to start up. You're looking at probably like 50 to 100K to start up, and you're not gonna make 50K. We haven't even made 100K in 1 year off of transportation, and we kind of been doing it. So it's like they need to figure out how to make the transportation profitable, even by limiting the licenses. I know an issue and it kind of died down is because we got the fees waived until 2027. So they'll be able to start charging the 10,000 per year, starting next year, as well as according to the legislation, they're supposed to be able to now allow for more licenses to come onto the market. Um, they may stop it from coming, but then you may have, say, an MSO that pushes forward because they're trying to do something or they want someone to have a transportation license, but they have not figured out a way for it to be a profitable business. But they collected all of these fees and application fees. They collected millions in renewal fees and application fees, but they haven't put together $1 million worth of business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you
tough.
say,
It's tough.
it seems like the only way, yeah, you could make it as a transporter is either if you're best friends with somebody who's selling a product and for some
Mhm.
reason they don't already have their own transport license, or, like you say, if you make your own product like you've done. Seems like
Correct.
that's like, unless you hit the lottery or something, it's just a really hard thing to make it a license type, I mean to say.
Yeah,
So,
it's tough. A lot of compliance, the cost, and again, Just because the third party transporter has an inherent cost that is just cheaper for, let's say, a grower to transport themselves. Why would they pay more money to transport their product unless they're mandated? So I feel like the only way it's going to change is if you bottom your pricing out, or they mandate something. But I don't think a lot of people are in position to bottom out you know, to hope to gain something that's truly not there, because it's a set number of licenses. The market's pretty much set. So, I would say that it should have probably maybe been 80 to 100 licenses released maximum. Our market doesn't support the number of transporters that's on the market. We don't even have 3 times the amount. If it's 160, it's not even 400 locations. So how can you make a business if you only have a client, 2 clients, and then that same particular client has a license? So this is a very, very tough license. I think a lot of people thought it was easy entry, but once you're in and you're looking around, like it's like really no business for a third party transporter unless they, again, like you're saying, best friend with somebody. They have a product out, but just coming in to transport, you're not going to find past 3 or 4 companies that are independently transporting for someone else.
Right. Right. And like you said, and this is something I've covered on the show in the past, if folks want to check out episode 243 and here it is, episode 243, I had Allie Jubileer on, and we talked about a lawsuit that she's actually bringing against the state of Illinois.
Yes, I know.
And, one of the things she points out in her case is that, like you said, these companies had what's called first mover advantage, and they also were granted transport licenses via a process that was like, from what I recall, and we broke this down in episode 148 with Ali Jubileer, that basically they got like an expedited process, and then for lack of better words, folks look into episode 148 to get the real details, because she, a legal professional, breaks it down, versus transporters who had like a longer application. Like you guys had to answer more.
She's I'm gonna frame it so everybody understands it. We all went through.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe I'm saying.
Yeah, we all went through. I love Allie, so I'm sure she got it right. But but what it was is we all did go through the same application process, right? But if you were a MSO or had the medical license, theirs wasn't graded. So when they turned theirs in, they were immediately granted the ability to transport, while we had to wait to be graded, which that took like a whole year for that to occur. So that was the differentiation in the law, was that as long as they just turned it in, theirs wasn't graded. They just had to turn in everything, the same thing we turned in, but without grade. They would just automatically grant them a license. But we had to be graded, score over, I think it was 750 points to 750 out of 1,000 to get that particular license. But again, the grading was delayed due to COVID, so they didn't end up issuing those licenses till like a year later. A year and a half later was when they first issued those particular licenses, and so that's what began the bigger issue. The other guys didn't even get graded.
Yeah, and that whole time they're able to transport their own product, and so it's like, to your point that you said earlier, why would they, unless mandated, be like, well, like why would they get a different transporter if they're just doing their own thing? Correct. Again, unless mandated.
Correct.
Because it's just like they're already transporting their own thing. They're not gonna. These are business people,
right? They've bought vehicles. They have payroll. So it's like, if other than being mandated, I'm going to continue. If I'm them, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing.
Yeah. Are you a part of that lawsuit that I mentioned?
No.
No. Okay.
But I'm not in disagreement with it, but I'm just not a part of it. We did have an earlier lawsuit initially against the state that we filed about about vehicles that were not approved vehicles, or they were different than what we had. So like they didn't have cameras on them.
Right.
They were transporting in minivans, all type of crazy stuff.
You came on the show and talked about it. That's the first time I had you on the show. So it's all coming back to me. It's all
Yeah, so
coming
the
back to you.
compliance was different at the time. We felt like we were being held to a different standard. Like, why were we paying money to put cameras in vehicles and do all this stuff, and then you're watching minivans dropping off cannabis? So that was our take on that, as far as could you guys regulate your market? But then we found out that it can, they kind of can do what they want, because it functions differently under the CRTA because of the type of program it is. So it doesn't function how you would think it would. So we didn't get any changes out of that. We probably just brought awareness to a situation, but in that particular instance, we didn't get any change out of it.
Gotcha. And any thoughts on this comment that just came in? They said, sounds like the state charges for essentially a worthless piece of paper.
Well, I'm gonna agree. Not only because, and I'm just being honest, the program was pitched as social equity and neighborhoods that were affected by the war on drugs. So, AKA the areas that, because it's people that have been arrested and they may live in Homewood, Flossmoor, or something like that. I don't really consider that person to be like a social equity. The areas where they profile, like Chicago, where they just were picking people out and arresting them and just harassing and doing all this unnecessary stuff. And that's who a lot of people in the program were going after to even get the licenses. So it's kind of disheartening to see how everything has panned out. That you would think that you would see more of the community and ownership, but you're not seeing a representation of who's in the community owning and or playing key parts in the cannabis industry currently. It's kind of almost turned corporate. You almost don't even hear social equity mentioned anymore. There's not social equity programs. There's not anything even dedicated to probably even social equity training. It was like they came, got the licenses. Once they got the licenses, it was almost about trying to remove the social equity people out of the picture so that they can go ahead and go about the business, as they see fit. So I'm hoping this year that it can get back to the table and uh, really fulfill the promise of the social equity that they did. I just feel like a lot of people that were in social equity are burnt out. They kind of tired of talking about it. They don't see the change, and a lot of people are just walking away from it because they've lost their savings, they've lost their 401ks. People have gotten in an argument, all type of things in regards to trying to get into this particular program. And you're seeing a minute amount of success for the social equity people. You may be seeing the success with other people coming into the market, as far as other corporations and people coming from Michigan and Colorado and California. They're profiting and they're doing well. But when you talk to somebody that's from Illinois, that was like the real social equity company, they not doing good. Most of them not even open without probably either selling the license or something else going on for them to even open their doors.
And you mentioned, just because you mentioned the communities in Chicago, I recently did a small report and shared numbers from the Illinois state reports, and they revealed that arrests continue in Chicago, the same areas that always have seen arrests occur, and those just happen to be the areas without dispensaries. And like I say, it's the same areas that have always borne the brunt of the war on drugs, as you were just mentioning. Did you have any thoughts on that, just at all?
Yeah. Oh, I got thoughts on that. So I do want to touch on one thing. As far as I would say the police and cannabis, a part of the confusion is the transportation of the cannabis in the vehicle, right? And so because it's legalized, some people think, oh, I can smoke in my vehicle and all these different things. So that we clear, because I did a video on this too. So that we clear, you cannot smoke cannabis in your vehicle. But if
What?
you, yeah,
I'm
you
just
cannot
joking.
smoke cannabis. But when you're pulled over, I've been pulled over myself, and my car smells like cannabis sometimes. And when I got pulled over, they're like, "Oh, we smell cannabis," and I'm just like, "Okay." But the difference in the law is they cannot do anything about cannabis that smells burnt. They only can do something if it's fresh cannabis, and that's because it's not packaged correctly, you haven't stored it correctly, or you have an amount in your vehicle so much that it's, it's giving off an odor. That's where the enforcement is supposed to be at, is with the raw cannabis. But what you're seeing is the police are utilizing the smell of the burnt cannabis to get into the vehicles and do different things that they're doing. So, for example, in Naperville, it's a Top Golf in Naperville, and if you look it up, they've had over 20 arrests in that parking lot, because it's essentially like that's what they do now. They sit in the parking lot, they say they smell cannabis, which allows them, I guess, to look in your car or whatever, and they've arrested over 20 people just at this one particular this Top Golf in Naperville. So it's almost like a profiling going on, as far as the like with the cannabis, even though it's legalized, the once again it's only pretty much a certain demographic that is still being arrested, while this same demographic from before that they said was an issue, which were the MSOs, are profiting even more. So even though they tried to say they would, I guess, break the monopoly with the MSOs, they've only become stronger since cannabis has legalized recreationally in Illinois, and it's getting to the point like they're the ones accumulating more licenses and or controlling other licenses or controlling inventory. That's another way you can control it, by controlling the ordering, the inventory, things of that nature. So they've gotten more sophisticated about how they move things around and do things, where social equity hasn't even caught up to how things are done. Um, so that's the issue. Like the training, the education, legislation is not matching up for social equity right now. There's not really any protections for a true social equity license holder or somebody intending to get into the business in Illinois.
Gotcha. So do you have hope this year that we will see some cannabis legislation go
Nope.
through?
No.
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 Okay.
No. Because why? You would have to say, okay, what's the app like? The social equity people at this point not even really saying anything anymore, right? So it's like what it's so many people have lost money and time and different things that they've just don't have the spirit for it anymore. So they've just kind of fell off, and you're seeing the medical, the medical people that had it initially, you're seeing them becoming more dominant and controlling things in a different fashion in Illinois. They just had different ways to control the shelf space. There's no shelf space protection. Even with social equity, it should be a certain percentage of shelf space that's controlled by social equity. Like in California, they had this, that you have to carry a certain percentage of products in there. Those products can't be dominated by that one particular store or MSO. Those different things that we haven't done to protect the social equity class in cannabis. We're not giving shelf space. We're not giving the transportation that was promised. Dispensaries not opening. Even when they put out the funding for some of this stuff, even the funding's not even really going to the real social equity. Some of the funding going to people that are well funded. So it's just, I would like to see, and I know it's not going to happen in this particular legislation, but how can social equity truly advance in this market? Like, what's the layout? What's the path for it to happen? And I don't think Illinois has created the path, nor do they even know the path for somebody that's truly social equity, that's truly in the community to be successful. I believe we've been played on because we love the community, right? We love the plant and we love helping people. That's been played on for corporate to come in and actually profit even more.
Satisfied? You got any questions? Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. Hey. Hey, Berwin.
Hey, how you feeling?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Leo.
Do you think that your situation could be resolved just by having more dispensaries available, like for you guys? Like,
I mean,
what do you think like the easiest fix to not? Because I was just looking up. There's 73 operational transporter licenses and 164 total.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Insane, right?
Yeah. So what is their justification for issuing that many licenses? Like they have to have a plan, right? 'Cause
Money,
why are they just
money, $10,000 per license. So we have to just look at it for what it is. 10,000 times 164, I want to say, is almost like $4 million or something. So I mean, there you go, $4 million into the pot. That's what they're looking at. They're not
Where did
looking.
that money go to? What did they use that for?
They built out. So initially, when they started, we didn't have any cannabis. We didn't have. There were enough employees. You'll call in. Maybe they might call you back. Maybe they won't. So they didn't have a cannabis structure. So now they've taken that money and they've hired and brought in inspectors and did different things to build that business. I always said Illinois is almost complicit in this because they're profiting the most. They didn't put up any money. They get 30% of the taxes, plus they get these outrageous fees, and then they get the renewal fees. So Illinois, at the same time, like what? Why would they change anything? They're getting richer and richer, and then we're also filling a general fund as well. Before in 2019, if you look at Illinois, we're running at a deficit. So in 2020, you'll start seeing the state running differently because they're using that money to go into the general fund to cover holes. So they don't have the incentive to change anything unless it brings in more tax dollars. So I don't think they'll change anything unless social equity figures out a way for them to get more tax dollars.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's pretty awful. I didn't realize that they had issued that many licenses, to be honest. That's very surprising to me.
Yeah, money grab.
It was the one license type that was unlimited.
Well, Cole, I can read lips, but you still on mute.
Oh, can you guys
I
not
heard
hear
him.
me?
I got you. I hear you. Yeah. That's weird.
Maybe say it back for Berwin if you can't hear me.
Yeah, I see I'm talking, but I don't hear.
What'd you say, Cole?
I said transporters are the one unlimited license type.
He said that transporters were the only license that was not limited.
Correct.
The
Which
only
was
license type.
Yeah, that was a mistake in the first place. That should have been. They had a set amount, right? Everything's a set amount in Illinois, so they had a set amount of license. Even what they topping off, I think the dispensaries they're only going to issue 500 is the max. So even with that, right, the initial plan was a 500 phased in. Right, they're supposed to like over every year or 2 years or something. They're supposed to like add more until it gets to 500. So even with the 500, okay, with 160 divided by 500, where you're supposed to have a like delivery one dispensary per day, like it wasn't based on any reason. The only reason I see is that they got fees out of it. Other than that, the market doesn't constitute to have 164 transporters. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and like you said, each of the 21 initial medical, they all got licensed transporters, correct. Right?
Yes. With an ungraded application.
Just automatically grandfathered in, basically.
Yeah, they
just
put
given
A, B,
one.
C, D, E, F, G. They're passed.
So they created that rubric for other licenses after those were.
No.
Is
this
at
was
the
at
same
the
time?
same time. So in the CRTA, this is actually in the CRTA. So if you look into the CRTA, it'll state on there that it was two different procedures. One procedure was for the ones that had it already, which are the medical, and then the people who are applying. They just had to fill it out by a certain date, turn it in, pay the fee, no grade. They can run the next day. But again, we had the grading, and then again we had COVID come in. And so I guess a lot of stuff got blamed on COVID, but I can't remember the name of this company that was doing all the grading. KPMG. They just got in my opinion, got in over their head. There was no consistent scoring, even with those applications, because I'm a consultant. So we turned in over like 20, almost 30 of those licenses. And even the scoring wasn't even consistent until like the second time they released the licenses. So even the scoring was not consistent. Nothing was consistent other than they made sure that the medical had the transportation.
Honestly, I'm fairly familiar with some of like the CRTA and stuff, but to be honest, I've always glossed over the transporter stuff because it's never really like applied to me in the times that I've referenced it. So I'm I'm just unfamiliar is all. So I'm glad that you're sharing some of this.
Oh, never a problem.
Hell yeah. And it's a shame Berwin can't hear me. Tell him I said
Now I
that.
can.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. The party goes on. The party goes on. What's your general outlook on the cannabis industry in Illinois? Because if policy isn't going to pass and people are still feeling the squeeze, what's your general outlook? Are doors going to close, or people you just going to see the strength of operators? Or
doors are always going to close, but that's part of business. But I see actually the market increasing. I see more money being made. I see us being over a $2 billion market. We're close now across $2 billion a year. They're selling millions of product a year, so I just see even more a bigger market. And then also, we don't have enough differentiating products in Illinois, so it's a lot of growth potential here. It's just about partnering and creating new products and things of that nature. It's a market here to get in. You just have to get into a space that makes sense for you and your company to be successful. But if we talk about licensing, like the transporter license, yes, it had to be severe changes. I don't think they have the appetite to address everything that needs to happen in regards to transportation. Maybe next year, maybe. I don't see anything. But as far as our market here, we have a great market. There's plenty of money here. There's plenty of opportunity. It's just like I said. I think a lot of people are just a little weary and tired right now. But I think we're gonna do even better. I think we haven't even begun. We haven't even touched the tip of the ice of how good that Illinois market can be.
do you think that like maybe after this election cycle, there's a possibility that like people will come back charged up? Like you said, the advocates have kind of gotten quiet. I mean, I saw some articles from like in Crane's Chicago a few weeks ago with like Portia Mittens and a few others, but it's kind of gotten quiet. And so, like you said earlier, I feel like my optimism for this session is low because it's an election year and such. But do you think like perhaps after when we get after the election, do you think that's a good time we might see some cannabis policy pass?
No. The only thing that's gonna make it pass now is if a border state goes. So if Wisconsin says we're gonna go legal, then that'll force Illinois to do something. If Iowa says they're gonna go legal, that'll force them to do something. But we have like 4 states
You don't
around
think
us
Indiana will?
it got it no. So we got Indiana, Kentucky, right? Wisconsin and Iowa. So one of those 4, and what we probably logically it's going to be Wisconsin next. What I'm looking at is probably Wisconsin. That'll force the change because obviously once you're losing that money on the northern border, that's going to be a significant hit. The border stores are that's the signal stores for the entire state. So if they start having issues, the entire state, you'll start seeing it trickle down. That'll force, I believe, change once another state legalizes that's a border state.
I like I see how you could be thinking that. So it's an interesting line of thought.
Look,
there.
why would they change it now? They're making $2 billion a year. They're not going to change anything.
To wait until the voices get loud enough, or like you said, they're kind of forced to play their hand and change like that.
Correct.
Yeah, or another way of saying, and the voices get loud enough if enough money that poured in as
stops.
Yeah, like all that money that came in 2019, the 600,000 since like the medical days, like I think that's what it would also take. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just cynical, but the grassroots thing in Illinois, it doesn't seem to
work.
It's different. Yeah, our grassroots is not the same because I believe some of the people that were grassroots or advocating are also involved in obtaining licenses. So if they have licenses, then it went from advocating to protecting their license. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of advocates now here, because now they transition to protecting their license or keeping their license or selling it or whatever they're doing. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of advocates, because most of those advocates have won licenses as well.
What, both of you, like, what is something that's going on in the market right now that you don't think people are talking about, that, and it doesn't even have to be like controversial or anything, but just like,
Mhm.
what can you give people like kind of insight as to how you feel the market is today, and some good, some bad, whatever. I don't know. I just think it's cool to capture moments in time like this.
I'll let Satisfied Mind go first.
Sure. I I don't know, because I feel like I'm kind of in two different worlds of it. The consumer side of me thinks that there's a lot of potential for good quality products out there. There's a lot of products out there, but I don't think that it's good quality products necessarily. Um, I would like to see some of that increased, whether that's better brands. But overall, I think better brands are only going to happen if more brands can come in, increase competition, which means more licenses. So more growers, more licenses for dispensaries, and let's facilitate, you know, what the people want.
Berwin, you got thoughts on that, or any that you want to add?
Wait, let's do that question one more time.
Do you just based on what he said, do you have any thoughts, or do you just want to take it in your own direction? Like, how do you feel the market is today, just generally speaking? Like, what are some of your favorite things about it, and what are some of your pain points? I don't know.
I think our market is great. I think quality and consistency is getting better. You have a lot of like Flora. You got a lot of good growers right now. So I'm seeing myself better product. It's not
I
coming
think a
from
lot of that's
MSO.
the craft
Yeah, the crafts.
companies.
So
Yeah, really
yeah,
showing up. Yeah.
the crafts have been, like I said, Flora is one of my go-tos. Um,
And I think some
it's
of that's challenging the other companies, to do
yeah,
better.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
I
I agree.
agree. I agree. I do like the amount of product that we have. We have a great amount of like weed selection. Um, we're only what five. This is our 6th year in the legalization. It usually takes 10 years for market to mature. Um, so I think market wise, I think we're doing great. I think it's enough new products coming out. I think you're starting to see innovation. You're starting to see different type of products. Um, you're starting to see more craft growers come on, which again will create more products. I would like to see the distillate pricing come down. I think that's slowing down product creation, because I think initially you paying like $10,000 to $12,000 for a liter of distillate. So that kind of handicaps any new product coming in, because you know your cost of good is just higher because that distillate is so high. It has dropped. I've seen stuff like in the $7,000 range now, $8,000 range. But some of the inputs are high. Like the distillate is high. I would love to see that be regular price, like $2,000. That would be a game changer.
You could buy, yeah, I bet you could buy like that much distillate in Michigan as an adult use
All day,
customer, like,
all day.
lower than that price.
All day. So it's stuff in the market that has price boosted. Like I would love to lower the price of my product, but the distillate, and that's part of the problem too. Some pricing, your price of your distillate, your regulation, right, your overhead. That's what makes your product high in Illinois. If the distillate drop, you would see prices drop drastically on edibles. Um, so it's just different things, I guess, behind the scenes that are slowing some things down. But I'm satisfied with our market currently. At the year that we're in, and understanding all the different things that went on, and we also had to take into account the 2 to 3 years of COVID. So, I mean, we might technically be time frame wise like 3 years in reality into recreational cannabis.
Yeah. Well, remind people that might just be tuning in now. It's I Got the Munchies, and is there like a website they can go to,
Mhm.
stuff like that?
So, all right. So we got the munchies. We have the only infused lollipops in Illinois. 25 milligrams of lollipop, 4 lollipops in the pack. 100 milligrams total, 12 different flavors, aka SKUs. You can find us in 48 dispensaries. Website is www.igotthemunchies.net. We also have an Instagram that we're on all the time, which is @IGotTheMunchies_official. That's us. We do a lot of social media, have a lot of fun on there. And then also be on the lookout for 100 days, 100 dispensaries in 100 days that we start on April 1st, where we're going into, well, we already started filming, but we're going into 100 different dispensaries in Illinois, and we're going to grade them on 10 different categories, things such as like the walk-up, parking lot, aesthetics, what was the welcoming when you came in to check in, the menu, diversity in the menu, different things of that nature to come with a final grade. So we'll be introducing that in April and having fun with that, and hopefully spotlighting some different dispensaries for people to check out, and shining the light on them, and helping everybody move products. So it's a lot of different things going on. We just try to be creative in different things that we're doing in cannabis to just draw in more people and be able to tell our story to them.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for calling in. I'd love to have you back on.
For sure.
Thanks for reminding me that you had been on in the past to talk about that lawsuit. That was, I remembered you'd been on, but I forgot that it was for that. And so when you were talking about the details of that lawsuit, I was like, oh yeah,
That's him. Nah.
yeah, straight up though.
But I appreciate coming on the show. I love your show. I'm a big fan. I always tell you, every time I see you, I'm like, I'm a Cole fan. So I love your work. I love the podcast. I love a lot of stuff that you're doing. I just love the attention you bring to everything. And I love your dedication to the craft as well.
Thanks, Berwin. That means a lot. Thank you.
Never a problem.
Yes. Nice to meet you, Berwin.
All right, nice to meet you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying you have to go, but Satisfied, did you join? Did you just join to ask different questions, or did you call in for any specific discussion? Or no, just call in to hang out.
Yeah,
I'm out. I'm finna watch the rest of the show.
Sweet,
just
man.
calling just to chill.
Take care, Berman.
All right, thank you all.
Yep, thank you. That was cool. Well,
nice.
Cool. Thank you for calling in. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I didn't have anything. I was just watching and smoking.
Yeah.
So.
Damn shame that the I think I got probably cut off on some bits of information, but I'll I'll have to just watch back and try to release a better version of this show.
Was it glitching out still?
I don't know. It's unclear to me. Like at the beginning when I was like trying to do the actual run of show, yeah, we it seemed like, at least from my end, something was going on. So I don't know what the hell's going on. But try to do I'll probably do like a test stream tomorrow. Just try to recreate the error.
Throw a bunch of stuff at it.
Yeah, just kind of do a stress test.
Yeah.
Let everybody know it's probably gonna suck.
Fake stream. Stress test.
Yep. So, but I appreciate you tuning in, and everybody else that did tonight too. So,
yeah, and I know that Genetic Memory Farms was talking about the Grow Club or whatever, and
oh yeah, let's put that up. Thank you for reminding me of that. So Genetic Memory Farms asks, would anyone be interested in a monthly cannabis gardening club for the city/suburbs so people can swap and trade equipment, knowledge, and genetics away from prying eyes and monetary influence?
I think that's a cool thing. My concern with obviously trading genetics is just like a scary thing.
Yeah, especially with hemp on its way out.
Yeah, even more so. But that's supposedly it was delayed or being proposed to delay it for 2 years or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't believe any of this stuff is going to happen. I think there's so much just kind of fear talks and, oh, this is what we're going to do. Then you get a big reaction from people and you can kind of judge what's actually possible. You know, what's the bare minimum that these people want? Because now one side is desperate for, you know, an end to the situation, because now you've taken away this precious thing, and now some people are going to be like, all right, let's just what do we need to do to make this happen in
Yeah.
whatever form?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree. I think when push comes to shove, I've seen
delays happen, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And you've just seen hemp win, quote unquote, hemp win, quote unquote, so many times. Like everybody thought Texas was just done. Like in that veto by Governor Abbott was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But
Like, wait, what happened?
Right. I appreciate the comment, Genetic Memory Farms. I'm not necessarily embarrassed, more so that I'm just frustrated because like I practice a little bit my show. I get down when I want to say to you all, and then when I look over at my screen and it appears that I'm frozen, I'm like, fuck, I don't know when it froze. I don't know what you guys heard me say last.
Yeah.
And I'm wanting you guys to all get it. Like I'm trying to do it live. So it's just frustrating is all. I appreciate you all though, like confirming whether or not I was like, that's the best. I know like early on people were like, no, you're good. You lagged for a second, but it's been fine. People saying different things. So, appreciate it all. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
like I said, it lagged just that first time. And then the second time,
it just sucks because it's been the last 2 live streams. That's what worries me. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to because I built this computer. I'm like, is there like a driver update or something? Like, I don't know. Like I hate when little things like this pop up because it's just like, I don't know why, but I call things like this Christmas. It's like, it's a Christmas mystery. It's not even Christmas. Christmas is like a
they're
long time away.
gremlins.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what my brother and I, that's what we always use is gremlins.
I like that.
And things start going weird and you're not quite sure what it is. It's just, it's computer gremlins or whatever other gremlin thing that you're dealing with.
Well, and the other thing I tell people, like, computers can smell fear. So like if you I started freaking out and the computer detected that. It was it's like, you freaking out? I'm gonna fucking they start fucking with you.
I feel like you've done the live streams before and haven't had issues though.
That's what worries me is that for the last 2 live streams, this one included, I've had that issue pop up and it's just random. And I've looked back at the episode because I take a note of the timestamp and it's frozen, except for the ticker, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
So it's my cat's screaming if you can hear that.
Yeah. Did you hear mine earlier?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. I might have been muted, but yeah, he's a loud fellow.
Yeah.
Not in here right now. Yeah, it could be even just like one website that you happen to be on. If it, has a bunch of pop-ups or just actions on the computer, like on the website, and it causes it to
Well, what I was thinking,
pull more memory from your computer, and that's what's causing just the little glitches because it's forcing energy to that certain website or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. That's kind of what I was thinking. In my run of show, I've got this one document that I've used for a while, and at this point, it's 200 pages long. So I'm like, is that maybe it?
It could be. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I'll do some stress testing in the coming days, folks. So if you want to tune in for a laugh, you can. Also, the link for the next live stream. Wow, my cat's just crying.
I was gonna say that cat is so loud.
Yeah, come here, buddy. Here he comes. Hi. Hello. You want to come on the live stream? But he's like, I don't know. He just must not have realized I was in here or something. What was I even saying? Oh yeah, the link for the next live stream is on the YouTube channel, folks. If you want to go over and click notify me, I should be here next Tuesday, 7:15 p.m. I might pop up in between then and now because I'm in contact with a few different people that we might just go, fuck it, we're doing it live. So you can always look forward to that. But always appreciate you tuning in, dude, and dropping comments and feedback because it helps me. And I'm saying this for other people. It helps me know that I want to make sure I'm getting you the content that you want, like Genetic Memory Farms. You've been mentioning like more patient focus and home grow stuff, and that's near and dear to my heart. And so I've been trying to lean in and make sure to kick it back to my roots, pun intended, if you will, and lean into those topics. I know I can get very industry centric. Oh crap. I missed the question. I meant to ask Berwin. Genetic Memory Farms had asked, should we allow people from other states to be social equity? So I think they had to, was really the thing that has come out of all of that. I believe they had to. It was like a lawsuit thing.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that was happening. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of people that yeah, I mean,
I know it gets down to like percentage of like ownership and weird things and what names you put on documents and stuff. So I'm just too unfamiliar, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think in the first rounds, I think you could get more points for being in certain Illinois zip codes. But then in later license lotteries, that's the thing. I've always, if you look through my coverage, I've always had to just bring on somebody smarter. For some reason, the license lottery thing, I just like start snoring.
It's very legalese.
I don't even know. I just, because I don't want a license. I just get like bored with the topic, you know, and it just all seems like a fugazi, or however you say it, fugazi. Like it's just fake. Like especially the lottery, like where it's just like, my friend Phil talks about it on the show all the time. Like how like they should stream that whole process, because like all they ever published was like just a video of like two guys in a room, like sitting in front of a computer. It's in my mini documentary, actually. It's like a clip that I play, and it's actually produced by the state of Illinois. That's as much as they've ever shown that I know. In other states, they make up a whole show. I don't know if people have seen this. I can try to Google it, but like I remember in one state, I can't remember which one, but they like live streamed it, and they had like a guy blindfolded, and like he like reached into a thing, and all the balls had to be the same weight. It was like they were like very specific about the process to like show that they were being fair, you know?
I was gonna say they should just put balloons up on a wall and have numbers on all of them, and then just have someone blindfolded throwing darts.
Yeah, just
have different people coming in, have it a big party up on stage. People could pay to go watch.
Dude, Aaron, you missed it earlier. It was a disaster earlier. We in the beginning of the show, we had a few glitches. It's probably not as bad as I thought it was, but thank you for tuning in. We actually mentioned you. I don't remember when somebody asked about community. I think there's like Miggy asked if I thought there was a community, and I said, everyone has been lagging, Guapo says. That makes me feel a little better. But Miggy asked if I'm aware of any cannabis communities in Illinois, and I'm like, there's definitely a few, and I'm sure there's a lot that I'm not, because like the OG people are just quiet. Cat's yelling again. Coco, come here, buddy. Berwin says Nevada streamed their lottery. Okay. I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. Oh yeah, cannabis communities. I'm sure that like there's some that OGs are like keeping hush hush, because that's how you keep a good fucking tight knit community. But I said the best community that I know that's like forward facing is the Support Dope People community. There's a cool community over there, growers. So come here, buddy. But yeah, sounds like this is turned into a cat stream.
I would.
The cat memo.
Let's see.
Berwin applied for a consumption lounge in Nevada. The whole lottery was live on YouTube. That's what I'm talking about. Were they taking callers? I'm just joking. But anyway, again, I appreciate you tuning in. Everybody, appreciate you calling in. Satisfied Mind, Berwin. Looking forward to next Tuesday. We're going to be going live every Tuesday, 7:15 p.m. ColeMemo.com/live. And hope to see you there next Tuesday. I'll probably pop up, like I say, in between now and then. Check out Cannabis Coast to Coast News by Pro Cannabis Media. Did a segment there this week, but also they produce great content. You might even see the Cole Memo podcast published over there in the future. So if you get your cannabis media through Pro Cannabis Media, you might be seeing the Cole Memo there. And yeah, appreciate you all tuning in. If you haven't already, share the show with your friends, hit the like button, you know, all
Smash
that
it.
stuff. Smash it. Just smash the hell out of it. So
Thanks for having me on, Cole. As
Yeah,
always,
dude.
we appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one. Aaron says, have you been to Aroma? They do a grow club. It's pretty dope. Pretty dope. Well, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in to another broadcast of
The Cole Memo.
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 The Cole Memorandums. The Cole Memorandum.
The Cole Memo. This drug is dangerous. You cannot play with it. It's not funny. It's not something to laugh about. Good people don't smoke marijuana.